I'm not expecting a ton of viewers, only a few today because I didn't promote super heavily, but it's all recorded and it'll give me a lot of stuff to promote out and show other people. It's great content regardless. But we should have a few people hopping on,
Sure.
and hopefully the fucking LinkedIn stream doesn't mess up because usually it's been really messy. Sometimes like it'll be like the past two that I've tried, it'll like live stream, but it'll show no video and the audio will be really glitchy and it's so
I notice on
we'll
Twitter,
see.
sometimes does it cross post it over your Twitter feed as
Cross,
well?
yeah. So actually, I'll talk about it in a second because I actually have a. Actually, let me. What is it? I have a sponsorship with the company that helps me do that,
Yeah.
called Restream. But they're a really great company. Ooh, my chair's all glitchy in the background. We'll deal with it. Hopefully this is working. Over here, we're expecting the little live thing to ping up any moment, and we'll click on that. What about this? Yeah, but that cuts you out. All right, come on. You doing okay? What do you got, LinkedIn? I believe in you. I believe in you. Sending data. Oh, reconnect. No, wait, maybe not. Let's just keep it on here. See if this works. I'm always nervous about the LinkedIn stuff lately because it's super glitchy.
Yeah, and honestly, if this has problems, it's not the end of the world.
Nah,
If,
I'm not
if you
super
get if
worried
you
about
get
it.
more folks watching on the weekend on Saturday, there's probably a chance we could just redo this. But let's just see if this connects. This is fine.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine. Um, uh, yeah, it seems like it's having some issues. I think LinkedIn's been having some trouble. I don't necessarily have to give up view event. Let's see what's happening. LinkedIn.com/me. I want to see if I can get it to work. Just be patient with me here. Sorry.
You're good.
Going live. Come on. How about we turn that one off? See if that helps it. Come on. I believe in you. I really do, LinkedIn. I know you can do it. Ooh, it's having some trouble. How about we turn it off and turn it back on again? That's usually the solution for world stuff. Come on. Sending data. I see it. I see it happening. I really do believe in you, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where my main audience is. I have around I think it's 7,500 no 7,700 followers on there. So I'm doing decent. But I make most of my stuff on LinkedIn, so it's usually I want to make sure that I can.
That's interesting because I always see. I mean, some folks will broadcast live on YouTube or they choose to Twitter. It's interesting to see where certain people will which channels. Yeah, I guess wherever you have the most followers.
Yeah, and for me, LinkedIn has been the biggest one.
Huh.
We do have one person hop on Twitch. I feel like I'm down if it doesn't end up working on LinkedIn. I don't really mind. I promoted it decently well, so we should have a couple people hopping on Twitch,
Sure.
asking some questions. But yeah, it looks like LinkedIn's eating its own face right now. That's a shame. Oh well. Regardless.
If you want to take a minute or two more to keep trying, that's fine. You're not bugging me.
I appreciate that. Yeah, maybe we give it another shot. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream. I'm gonna reconnect it, and we'll give that a shot to see if that works.
You want me to stay connected to?
Yeah, you're fine. You're totally
Okay.
fine. It has nothing to do
Okay.
with you. So anybody that's watching, apologies. We'll be right back. Let's see if LinkedIn can make it. Give it 30 seconds, and we hope. It's just a lot of hope. No, but LinkedIn's been having a bunch of issues. I've been talking to a bunch of the other live streamers, and they're all having trouble too. So, not my fault. Nothing I can do about it. But we will have a good time and a good conversation, regardless.
Sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's just get started in that case.
Sure.
So, I ain't seeing nothing. That's a big shame. Yeah. Oh well, LinkedIn isn't working right now. I'll do a bunch of shit right later. Okay, cool. So, hello everybody. I'm Max. This is Entrepreneured, and I have a really exciting guest today. This is actually, you were the first person that I wanted to interview on my stream when I started doing the streams, because I read your article like 3 years ago. I was really interested in it, and it is, I can shut my little stream end thing down. It is Peter Askew. He is up in the corner over there, if I'm pronouncing your name right.
Askew, that doesn't matter.
Oh, you had a cat. That's wonderful. He's doing it from his
I was
home.
going to say, you're going to get cats, and you're probably going to get a 9-year-old running through.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. But yeah, so Peter Askew, what he does, I'll give you a little bit of rundown, and then you can kind of take it away, talk a little bit about what you do. He runs what he calls Deep South Ventures. You should check out the website. We've done an actual live stream before. It was like a month or two ago, and I sent it to you on reading some of your articles and some of the stuff that you've built through Deep South Ventures. But your methodology around entrepreneurship, very, very different from anybody else that I've seen. Basically, what you do is you take domain names and you use the advantage that you get through these domain names to kind of like reverse engineer a business, is how you phrase it. You'll find something through just domain hunting or through domain auctions, whatever it is. You find something that's really cool that somebody hasn't taken advantage of yet, and you use that domain name to gain an alarming amount of authority in very, very niche little industries that have been around usually for a long time, where the business is understood, where everything kind of makes sense. But through that authority, you can get clients, you can get something else going, and through some of the experience you've had in the past with web development, stuff like that, you're able to build awesome websites, awesome services, whatever you need on a very simple scale, but it ends up going really far because of how clever you were with the domain name. So domain name startups, I think it's fascinating.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's not something that I set out or had a clear path towards.
Yeah.
But the path started showing itself to me. So I spent several years in paid search and SEO and analytics, and then on the product side and in startups in the Atlanta area. And when I started getting more exposed to domain names, I started kind of slowly going down that path on different ways to approach domain names, whether I come up with the idea first and then attempt to acquire a domain to shoehorn into this idea I came up with, versus every time I'd start a project on a really great domain name and build a business underneath, and to your point, reverse engineer some domain name and try to fit in a business model, whether it's a job board or a marketplace directory or selling a boutique product and service on a domain name. They just started working and not successfully working. I might have a small success on a smaller project, and the barrier to entry for me was so much easier. And it goes into the almost harvesting leads versus trying to hassle or haggle or bring on leads and try to convince them to buy. I'm sitting there just harvesting these leads or harvesting sales because the domain name has so much trust and authority to it. But I'm not just leaning on the trust and authority. I'm trying my best to lay on
good service.
Yeah, really good service, either really good customer service, really good logistics, shipping, or what have you onto the domain. And then layered on top of that, trying to find some domain that may strike an interest with me versus just buying, toilets.com, and I'm going to sell toilets on the internet all day long. I was like, well, if I'm going to cherry pick some project, I want to try to find something that is that has some level of interest with me, and then go down that rabbit hole and see where it goes.
I like it a lot. That makes total sense to me. I think it's that's cool as hell. And for some of the, I went over some of your stuff, but some of the businesses that you've made or have worked on, the first one that I was introduced to was VidaliaOnions.com. I think that was it's such like in a super unbelievably obscure niche, right? Like I have never even heard of these. Most people have never even heard of these, but it ends up working unbelievably well. And you actually managed to get onions.com too, which is really funny. Um,
Yeah, that one came much later after
mhm.
Vidalia, and I only know Vidalia because I'm here in Georgia, and because they're so commonplace around here, and folks that either enjoy cooking or just love good onions, this is their, the cream of the crop. This is the caviar. Some folks call them the caviar of sweet onions.
That's great.
And folks, whenever like Bobby Flay, that famous chef, he's been
Hmm,
on
hmm.
TV several times, and whenever he introduces a sweet onion, if he's cooking, the first words off of his mouth are, "Okay, if you can get a Vidalia, get a Vidalia. If you can't, okay, get an XYZ or a different. I don't want to talk down any other type of sweet onions, but
That's
his
funny.
first words off his mouth are, get a Vidalia if you can." But I mean, that one was daunting. I mean, why it's so risky to get into a project where you're shipping a perishable
Yeah,
item,
no kidding. Yeah, there's a whole
a
lot that can go wrong
perishable
there.
item that layered on top of that is seasonal. I can't even sell this year round. Um, but like that article that I wrote was, I'm just dumb enough to try something of this complexity. Maybe this is the reason why nobody else has built it. So I'm willing just to give it a shot. I have the name. I'm close enough to Vidalia. So I split my time between Atlanta and Vidalia. I'll be down there in about a week and a half doing some video on the basically the harvest and the dig. And it just happened to work. Now the margins on it are much thinner than some of my other projects, but it's one of the most fulfilling projects and jobs I've ever had, may ever have.
That's so
And the
cool.
industry is so welcoming and friendly, uh, and it's been a very rewarding project to be associated with. And then to have stumbled into onions, somebody bought it, and a few years after it sold, I had the opportunity to buy it. So we just bought it just for a defensive measure. If somebody wanted to compete with us, it would have been a good domain to try and buy.
Yeah.
So we decided just to take it off the table and try to figure out how to use it maybe a few years down the road. Right now, I'm letting my partner farmer use it for email. So all
That's
right, now
cool.
that's the only thing it's really being used for. It has a pretty crummy landing page. I'm going to try to rebuild it maybe after the season's over, just to make it a little bit better looking.
Now I'm
Um,
curious.
yeah, it's just very. It's on
I like
card,
it. I
so I
like
just put it on card. It's
it.
very, very
I like
simple.
card. Yeah, I use card for a
Yeah,
lot of stuff.
card's wonderful. So I had something a little bit better, but I just now it's just a landing page, a lead driver
Yeah, yeah.
for Vidalia.
That makes total sense. Yeah, and
Yeah,
so through Vidalia, I've read the article. Let me see if I can go over some of that. It was I Sell Onions on the Internet. Yeah, I read that a little while ago. I guess that was only 2019. Maybe I read that a little bit
yeah,
earlier
last
than I
year.
thought. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe I read
almost
that.
a year ago. I was waiting for some updates to happen on birthdayparties.com. So I was waiting for my developer, my graphic designer, to do some updates on the site. And so I had like a month to wait. And Vidalia season was sort of coming up. So I was like, let me just do a brain dump on this project.
Yeah.
And it takes me a really long time to write some of these articles. And
Oh,
I had
yeah.
written bits and pieces of it for a while, and then added the Faulkner piece to it. And because I went to college in Mississippi, and then it started coming together, and I was like, oh, this sort of works, that I've been able to write this while I'm waiting for some of this work to happen on birthday
Yeah,
parties.
yeah,
And then decided, because of that first article that you mentioned that hit Hacker News, I was like, let me just toss it over to Hacker News and see if they like it. They tend to like obscure
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
articles like this. Yeah, and then was fortunate that they enjoyed it. They have a rough crowd over there in the comments section, but I always enjoy just going straight into the comments to answer questions, or if they're trolls in there, try to be as friendly as I can to the troll. Maybe switch them over. Maybe convince them to maybe consider buying a 5-pound box if they've never tasted
yeah.
it before.
That's funny.
But yeah, it generated, gosh, another like 6 or 7. I did never anticipate it. I never even intended for that article to generate sales for the site. I just needed a physical brain dump of how that story happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and they were so nice. The Hacker News crowd, they were ordering and putting comments in it saying, "We read your story on Hacker News."
That's
Placing,
awesome.
yeah, they were really nice. So
That's so
we go to
fun.
fair, also like Silicon Valley and Seattle
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
coast, all over.
That's
Um,
so fun. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. But no, yeah. So the basic idea, like my introduction to you was this. It was I sell onions on the internet, and basically what you did was you found Vidalia onions. You knew about Vidalia onions, or Vidalia, and it's this obscure, insanely obscure little niche.
Yeah.
That you just ended up creating a distribution center for, like through
Yeah.
for these super specific farmers.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, oddly, and did not intend to buy that thing. I mean, I was watching. I really thought I was going to be outbid, and threw in whatever that $2,200 bid, just assuming I would be outbid. I thought it was going to sell for $5,000 to $6,000. So I was like, 2,200, whatever. Let's just see where this thing goes to. And then crickets after 2,200, and then I won it. I was like, wonderful. Let me find how to pay $2,200 for this domain name. But then it was, when the article is as close to reality as it was, it kept clawing at me. And these domains do this to me. Now, I'm probably just weird in that way. When certain domains get in my, why I gain ownership over a domain, some will start talking to me, or some will sit on the sideline, and maybe they start bubbling up at certain points. But this one, right off the bat, it kept needling me that there might be something interesting there to play around with. And then I was like, well, what do you want to be? Like, what are you? I don't know what you be. And then it went to the, we buy pears from Harry and David. And I was like, okay, pears. Who does that for Vidalia? Who does that really well? Let me just go to Google. Let me go to someone's website. And one of my competitors, I don't think I mentioned this in the article, one of my competitors, when I was doing just due diligence and looking at competitors, their order form is a raw PDF. You go to their site. If you want to order Vidalias, you download their PDF and you print it, and you fill out the PDF on a piece of paper, and you write your credit card number on the piece of paper, and you snail mail it to them. And when they get the letter and the check or the money, however you paid, and whenever they feel like it, they'll send you some Vidalias.
Wow.
And so that was one. I was like, well, gosh, I know I can make the process easier than that. I mean, I know I can plug into Stripe or Shopify and get some good photos, and maybe have a phone number to make it easier for folks to place orders on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I started kind of going down that path. But
that's cool. I love
from
that.
And then it started working from that first year. After we did mainly a lot of email signups. So in our off season, we'll collect emails for this priority notification. So once I got the domain, built the site, and then I just put up a MailChimp email registration form, and then started collecting emails, and then I could speak directly to that crowd when we're ready to accept orders.
Yeah,
and that helped a lot.
Interesting. Yeah, like it's interesting. Like the you don't involve any fancy technology or anything. Like you don't try to make some like wildly creative like new solution. It's just like, okay, this is a really tiny little industry. I now have an advantage because I have this great domain name, and all I'm going to do in terms of being better is I'm going to make better customer service. I'm going to make a little bit of a nicer website, and I'm going to make it a little bit easier for people to like the UI or whatever you want to call it. The user interface is just a little bit better. Nothing fancy. You don't try to go overboard with anything. Just do a couple little things to make it easier for your customers, and it works.
This whole no code world movement. I mean, it's sort of no code. Because all I do is lean on Shopify. I lean on MailChimp. I lean on WordPress.
Yep.
I lean on a phone call provider.
Mm-hmm.
Like I bought, I have a local Vidalia phone number, 912-380-8000, and lean on all those providers, and then really try to sink my time into. It's a ton of customer service, just taking care of them.
Yeah.
Like it's folks like our parents' age that they grew up eating Vidalias, and either their family or their parents or grandparents that gave them Vidalias when they were growing up at a beach trip.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're a parent, or now they're a grandparent, and they want to share the same onion with their kids.
That's cool.
But or they used to have their Vidalia contact, and they lose their Vidalia contact, and then they search on Google and find me, and now they know it's just Peter. And it's like the article said, and when I call, it's Peter, it's the Vidalia man. The Vidalia man.
I love that. That's so funny. Like that's such a good story of like that's like customer attraction. Like that means that people really like what you're building,
oh
right?
my gosh, yeah. And it was
That's so
it was
fun.
like the classic phone. Like I could hear her putting it was like an old rotary phone, and I heard her put it down, like almost drop it, go cling cling. Larry, pick up the phone.
That's so
It's the
funny.
Vidalia man. And I was like, oh my god. I was like, what what have I gotten myself into? This is just,
Yeah.
how am I so fortunate to have stumbled into this? This is just wonderful. Um, but then on top of it, layered on all on top of it is having this partner. I have this my farmers, Aries Haygood, down at M&T Farms, and he's been. I mean, without him, I got nothing. And he's been such a great partner where he understood the potential or the value that we could potentially create, and just ran with it and gave me the opportunity to try this, because without him I couldn't have done anything. This would have gone nowhere without him just rolling the dice with a dude from Atlanta that drove down to Vidalia. And uh, because I met with a few farmers, and he was the only one who was like, "Hey, let's just give this a shot. Let's see what happens.
That's
Throw a site
cool.
out there, and then give us the orders, and then we'll start packing and shipping, direct from the farm, and see if this has any legs."
I love that. That's so so cool.
Yeah.
Um, that's awesome. Very very cool. Also, we actually do have a few viewers. A few people did manage to hop on my Twitch and find their way there, which is makes me really happy.
Cool.
But very cool. Yeah. So that's Peter Askew. I think that's awesome. And you've done the ones that you've done are you're working on birthdayparties.com right now, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Where you did ranch work, or you are working on ranch work right now. Vidalia
Yeah. Ranch.
onions
Yeah.
are more in the past, but you've kind of got those set up and running right now.
Yeah, it's running. So I'm taking, like, I've been taking orders all today. So I sent out a postcard about last week, and now the postcards are landing at everybody's mailbox this week. So got at least 10 phone calls today taking orders from customers
Wow,
for Vidalia.
that's
Um,
so fun.
and ranch work is an offshoot of Dude Ranch, and it's the oldest ranching job board on the internet. It was established in 1998. So I started Dude Ranch. I partnered with Guest Ranches, who ended up acquiring Dude Ranch from me.
That's so
He
fun.
owned Ranch Work, but but hadn't developed it to its full potential. And so I convinced him to point the domain to me, point the DNS to me, and I'll just build it out as a little, very simple job board. And then it started gaining a little bit of traction. So, and that was 2013. And then I acquired it from him in 2017. And it's been a really fun, I mean, entirely different type of model to
Yeah,
build.
no kidding.
But very simple, just a job board. And there are so many good niche job boards that you can build, that basically require a company of one. If you aren't terribly interested in hiring employees, job boards are wonderful.
Yeah, no,
And
actually,
they
that's funny that you say that. I made using actually one of my live streams. I made a little internship job board for local because I run a local startup social group, and
mm-hmm.
I know like 200 startups in town, like tech startups, like real like investable tech startups.
Cool.
And I know all of them. It's called Moss Generation, great little group. But because I knew all of them, everywhere I go, everybody would ask me like, "Oh, you have any internships?" Like a lot of my student friends while I was at university kept asking me
Yeah.
for internships, and my company friends kept asking me like, "You have any interns? You go to CMU. There must be some cool techie kids there, right?"
Right.
And so I just spun this little thing up using a tool called Sheet to Site, which takes a Google Sheet, information off a
Yeah.
Google Sheet, and ports it over to a
Cool.
site.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's so so cool. It took me literally 40 minutes to spin this website up, and
Wow.
it's totally automated. All I have to do is send a Google form to my startups every like month and say, hey, post some cool internships,
Wow.
and they just post them on here. I have to do nothing beyond that, and
I love it.
it's all no code. It's all yeah. Job boards are amazing. I love job
Yeah.
boards. I think it's such a fun little thing.
And you can build them on anything. I mean, Ranch works on WordPress. And so we built a custom, I mean, in the early days when I took it over in 2013, I just bought an off the rack job board from some for $50.
Yeah,
And
no,
then,
there's plenty of
and
them.
then, and then basically crafted it from an SEO perspective to make it easy to index with just the basics of SEO, good title tags, good text on the page, so
Yeah,
it's relevant. So, and once I kind of built the foundation of it, then it was just consistency, every day showing up and posting a job or two. So there's a little bit of manual aspect to
oh
ranch
for
work.
sure. Yeah,
I want to make sure I'm curating really, really good jobs. So I allow free jobs and paid jobs. And so for free jobs and paid jobs, I want to make sure that they're following the rules, and that they're legitimate jobs from other established ranches, but it has some level of curation going through
yeah,
there.
no,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the main three I have are that Vidalia, ranch work, and birthday parties. And birthday parties is just brand new, but it's in my opinion, the deepest well. um, of
Interesting.
of projects, and it is a marathon. I just started that project. Um, yeah, so it has a long way to go, but I'm quite excited about it moving forward. But it's more in the vein of the Dude Ranch type of project, marketplace directory, helping families or even caregivers identify places to throw birthday parties for their kids, and being able to slice and dice based on age or preference or zip code or even looking at it from a bird's eye view and zooming down. And it's all WordPress as well, a
Yeah.
custom theme on
Interesting.
WordPress. That's it.
Interesting. That's fascinating. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It seems like um, most of the way that I was kind of reading it is you find these awesome domain names and you use them as kind of like yes, the authority, but you the businesses you create end up being more like you're the middleman, right? You end up being mostly the middleman in a lot of these. Like Vidalia, you are the help the distribution channel for farmers to get to people to buyers for these onions, right? For ranch
Right.
work, you are the intermediary between
Yeah.
people looking to find jobs and the people that are hiring, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The birthday party seems like you'd end up doing the same thing between venues and individuals. Like it's always like the middleman kind of thing. It's always either a platform or something along those lines.
Yeah. And
But
I
that
want to
makes
be,
sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And Vidalia is actually they are pretty close to being a middleman. Vidalia is a little bit closer because I'm a direct partner with
Yeah.
the farmer. But when we started, we had this handshake deal. But I am under the farm's wing for it. But ranch work and birthday parties, yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
am middleman. But for those, and what I always try to suggest, and I've fallen in this trap before, but for those projects where I find projects that end up being more successful than other projects that aren't, if I build a project that is as close to the physical transaction as possible. So birthday parties, I am right at that point where somebody is trying to they're trying to physically buy a birthday party package, which typically runs about $400.
Interesting.
So I know if I can drive a lead, they're going to average $400 to $500, and let's assume they get 30% profit margin. So they're going to make at least $100 to $200 based on each lead that I drive. So it helps insulate some of my businesses, towards the economies that we're in right now, where we go through these little bubbles. If I have, because I continue to get job listings through ranch work, those ranchers still got to hire people, even if the economy takes a turn south. Or birthday parties, this is a unique situation where we can't congregate in one specific place
Yeah.
because we're trying to do social distancing. But I try to get as close to the physical transaction as possible, rather than have like a nice to have. What is the old analogy? Have an aspirin or a painkiller. I like to
Yeah.
have as many painkillers as possible. If there is a direct pain, to have my products be as close to that as possible, because
Yeah.
I've fallen in the rabbit hole trying to build just little fun projects that seem like really neat, but they aren't that uh, closely associated with a transaction occurring. And it's the first thing that goes whenever there's a downward spin in like the economy.
Hmm.
Businesses will immediately cut you out and cut out your revenue stream
Yeah. Yeah.
if you aren't closely associated with that, with driving revenue to their business. So
Exactly. Yeah. If you're not solving a really, really obvious problem, then things start to get messy. But yeah, it sounds like you have the same kind of methodology around like entrepreneurship. Like you find a problem and you solve it, but
yeah,
you do it in industries where you already like they're already established enough that it makes sense, and you can do research and there's plenty of competitors to kind of assess and see what they're doing. It's super super interesting. I love it.
thank you.
But very cool. So yeah, so those are the businesses you've made. I like that you use
Yeah.
WordPress, Card, Shopify.
Yeah.
Mailchimp is another one. Those are all the
MailChimp. I'm
same.
using Number Barn if for
Number
like phone
Barn.
numbers. If you need like a
Oh,
really good phone number,
Number Barn. Okay, I'll check that out. Yeah.
Number Barn, like, so if you have a product or service and you want like a catchy phone number,
Mm-hmm,
go
mm-hmm.
to Number Barn. You can find one like it that ends in 1,000, or maybe you want a 1-800 number that spells, if you install turf, 1-800-949-turf
Yeah,
or XYZ. Those,
yeah.
which are so old school, but listen, they work,
No,
and it's
yeah,
easy
they
for
do.
people to remember them. And if you put a billboard up on the highway, it'll be easier for folks to remember your phone
Yeah.
number versus a domain name as well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I like that. Okay, cool. WordPress card, Shopify, Mailchimp, Number Barn. That's really cool. I'm gonna check out
Yeah.
Number Barn. That's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, really cool. And so, how do you? Because I watch your Twitter. You're like one of the three people that I actually follow on Twitter.
No. Well, thank you.
I don't use Twitter that much. It's not necessarily like.
It's weird. It's where I hang out. I
I
don't know
know.
why.
Yeah, I hang out on LinkedIn, which is I don't know. It's a totally
I
different
don't know
ballgame.
why. Yeah, I was on I stopped Facebook, I stopped Instagram, but I ended up, yeah, for some strange reason, it's been okay. I enjoy it. It's good. It's a good crowd over there.
No, yeah, I like Twitter. I want to get more into Twitter. I want to spend a little bit more time there. But yeah, no, I watch you do a bunch of different things on Twitter, so I know what's going on. But I would love to talk about like how you go about finding these clever domain names. I pulled up I pulled up Google domains. I would love to hear like your preferences on a few different things. I've heard some messy stuff about GoDaddy, but also like that's where most of them are. So I feel like for auctions it makes the most sense. How do you go about finding these awesome domain names?
So honestly, the best domains that I've found to find the best domains I've found have been through this expiration process. If you remember that first article, I think you mentioned that first article, the essay I wrote on Deep South Ventures is, if you want to build a side business, just buy a great domain name. And it goes into the process of finding an expired domain name. And actually maybe the second. So this goes through the idea of trying to introduce the idea that someone should consider using a domain name and leveraging a domain name to build a business on. And then the second article to this goes into the expiration process. So there are lots of marketplaces where and it's a patience game. It's basically you sift through the list of domains that are expiring every single day. So roughly 50 to 100,000 domains are expiring every day.
Oof.
And so if you want to visit one, GoDaddy is a good one. We'll go into GoDaddy here in a sec. So a good one to start with is Namejet, Namejet.
.com.
Jet.com.
Okay, awesome. Namejet.com.
So this is a clearinghouse for expired domains, and just fair warning, sometimes some like smut domains will come up, so you can just have your PG-13 glasses on.
Fine. I curse like a drunken sailor on the show.
Yeah, me too. So I'm surprised I haven't cussed yet either. So this is a good dashboard. So there are two companies that have a partnership now. They didn't used to, but Namejet and another company called Snap Names, they have a partnership. Pretty much you'll see the similar domains appearing on both platforms. This is a marketplace where I tend to hang out is actually behind your image on the drop and Namejet exclusive behind your head. Ooh, no. So the drop is the physical dropping names from and my second article, if you read that second article that I wrote, it goes into dropping domains, and I'm going to try my best. It gets muddy trying to describe this whole process. So there are a lot of domain registrars out there, right?
Yeah.
Where you can register domain names through. GoDaddy being one, Network Solutions being another one, Name.com, Namecheap, but there are hundreds of them. And most of those smaller operators, when someone doesn't renew a domain, they just physically let it drop. And when a domain drops, it basically expires. And they have software systems. So Namejet built a software system to try and grab these domains the second that they become available. And that's called the drop. And so there are software systems that are always pinging the registry, attempting to grab these domains from the drop. So everything you see listed under the drop are domains that somebody abandoned, that are physically being dropped, that Namejet is going to try their best to acquire once they physically expire. And you'll see that on the left-hand side, you'll see Powered by Snap Names. So they have this partnership with Snap.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
So this is one software system that's very popular. Now you can try to do it manually. And if you assume the domain is going to expire on Wednesday, and you can just hit your computer and hit your mouse and try to acquire it. But they have, I'll just condense it and say they have a lot of horsepower behind them to attempt to acquire these domains the split second that they become available. Yeah. And if there are two back orders against it, it goes to auction. And then it's just you outbidding someone else. So Dude Ranch physically dropped. Somebody abandoned it. It physically dropped. Back in those days, Snap Names grabbed it. And then I had to outbid someone for the Dude Ranch domain name. And so that's the physical drop. And then there's another component. So there's the drop, and then you have what I basically call exclusive inventory. GoDaddy, since GoDaddy is the largest registrar right now,
Yeah.
before the domain physically expires, they will try to auction it off themselves. So most domains you see on GoDaddy are their own private inventory that somebody has abandoned, that they are auctioning through their own platform that they built. So a little bit of small differences. I've done an average job explaining that whole process. So the auctions you see here, if you go under popular searches right there, go up. If you see a join now, go right below the join now blue button, scroll down right there. Okay, now go to expiring.
Ending soon or
Just go to expiring.
Expiring.
This is just what you want to look at right now. This is everything that's expiring within GoDaddy. Now, just go click the price. GoDaddy does a great job. They do a really good job allowing you to sift and sort. So now you can see really popular ones. So some knucklehead is trying to buy Stagram because it's a misspelling of Instagram.
Yeah.
And look how much they're spending. The current bid is $41,000. That's real money. Somebody's trying that they're going to get sued into oblivion. They're going to lose that.
The second, yeah.
which is foolish, but they can spend whatever they want. But you can scroll down and see some
UnitedStates.com.
Yeah, it's a dash, but it's okay. But you find some really interesting ones in here. So this is expiring inventory that rather than GoDaddy send it off to a third party, GoDaddy was like, well, listen, we're just going to create our own auction marketplace. Why don't we just pocket all this money rather than give it to another third party?
Yeah, yeah.
And if nobody wants it within our marketplace, we'll just get rid of it. So you have exclusive inventory within GoDaddy, but you also have exclusive inventory within Namejet. So Namejet has partnerships as well. So if you go back to Namejet, and on the right, if you go back to their homepage, so this is the drop. If you go back to their homepage, let's see, hot picks, and if you notice to the right of the drop, it says Namejet exclusive. So those are names that are exclusive. You will not find those names on GoDaddy. You'll only find them within Namejet and Snap Names. So that's another place. Those two columns I spend a lot of time on going through to see what's coming up. But I also, on these other columns to the left-hand side, sometimes folks will put up their private inventory, which is fine. And I've found some pretty good deals in private inventory. But hot picks might be some that are getting a lot of back orders to consider that you might be interested in. And you can always tell, click on one and we'll see. If it's a direct lister, it'll say direct lister. So this is an expiry. If you look domain type, it'll say expiry. That means it's expiring. But if it's from someone's own inventory, it'll say direct lister, which that means they've taken it from their own portfolio and put it up for sale on Namejet as well.
Interesting.
So expiring domains, there's tons of opportunity because it is truly the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
Domain expired. Are you interested enough in this domain to physically outbid someone? And do you have a model? Because most everyone in here are domain investors, and they simply want to buy the domain and try to flip it.
Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes I can justify a higher bid price because I'm going to try to physically build something on it, so I can see the revenue stream that might be that, cross my fingers, might be generated down the road. So if they bought it for $1,500, somebody else is going to try to flip it for $3,000 or more. So if I try to build, I mean, Vidalia is a great case. I bought it for $2,200. Someone was trying to buy it for $2,000. Maybe they flip it for $4,000 down the road to a Vidalia farmer. So I could I accidentally bought it, but the idea still remains: buy it for $22,000, and I could still see a way to hopefully make money out of selling Vidalias. And yeah, we paid it off within the first couple of months in operation.
That's awesome. Okay, awesome.
So that's the fun side. And if you I love auctions. I'm addicted to these kind of auctions. And this is just way too into this. Yeah. This is a fun place to hang out because every single day there are 50 to 100,000 every single day expiring. So every day this dashboard changes. And that's all you have to do expiring. And then you can sort by estimated value. You can sort by the amount of bids. You can shop out of somebody else's shopping cart, because you can just look and see. And GoDaddy gives you all this data. Namejet doesn't. So you have to do a little bit more due diligence on Namejet and Snap Names.
Yeah.
And then the third provider from the drop side is Dropcatch. And Dropcatch is a really good third-party drop catching service. that if Namejet and Snapnames doesn't grab the domain from the drop, chances are Dropcatch grabs it.
Interesting.
And
So
so
you planned
these,
out the whole like supply chain for how these things like end up and where they end up. That's cool.
yeah, so you do, and the more you play in this industry, you'll get an idea of the moving parts on how it all lands. It's either drop or it's exclusive inventory, and it's going to be sold through Namejet because they have the partnership with Network Solutions, or it's a physical dropping domain. Then it's get your back orders in at Namejet or Snapnames, and Dropcatch are the pretty much the two that are going to give you the best chance at grabbing it. And um, and Dropcatch is a very popular one. I've won several domains off Dropcatch, and Dropcatch is cool. It's an open bidding, so you don't even have to place a back order for Dropcatch. So these are all open bids, so you can bid on any of these names. To bid on Dropcatched domains within Namejet and Snapnames, you have to place a back order, and then it's placed into a private auction. So once it's placed in private, the public doesn't have the ability to place a bid on it. So this is
Yeah.
still in the back order. This is still pre-release, and you see private right next to pre-release. That means once if you place a back order, and after 2 days and 4 hours, this will be placed. Whoever's placed a back order, this one's has what, over 100 bids.
Yeah, 106 bids.
Yeah. So those 106 bidders will be placed into a private auction. At that point, the doors are closed. No one else can come in. Versus Dropcatch, anybody can come in. This is still a wide open bid. You can come in and place. You don't even have to place the back order. So if you find something in this one that strikes your fancy, you can still place a bid and attempt to win it.
That's so cool. Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
it's a deep well, and it's very. I spend at least, it's like my morning paper is looking at its expiring domains.
That's fun.
But whether I'm going to buy something, it's very rare that I do. But you'd be amazed the opportunities that pop up in this expiring. So this is where if somebody wants to get into this for a reasonable amount and not pay retail prices, it's all through expiration.
That's cool. That's really
Yeah.
fun. I like that. No, yeah, awesome. Okay, cool. I'm way into this. I'm gonna do a lot more research after, like, probably later tonight. I'm probably gonna go on like a 2 hour kind of spin down into this hole because this is fun.
Yeah. It's really it's a deep well. And
Yeah.
I've been doing that since 2006. And every year I think I'll kick it, and I don't. Every year, every morning I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to check.
I have to know. Yeah.
What's expiring today? Because you'll be floored one time. Like one domain will expire, and you're like, are you kidding me? This domain is expiring, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I have an idea for that. And then you start researching, how much money could I make doing this on that domain, and would it justify spending $10,000 on that domain? And if it does, you have an opportunity to buy it, and then, man, it's off to the races if you acquire it. Yeah, it's an addictive process.
I love it. That's so fun.
Yeah.
I like this a lot. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check this out. Like the only issue is like I don't have a too much ton of expendable income, so I'm probably not gonna be able to go for these larger ones, these higher estimated value ones. But there's still plenty more. There's still plenty out there that I could definitely finagle with.
What you can do, they have a really good filter. If you go to the top of the page, let's see, advanced search. Here's a good one. So do advanced search at the very top of the page. Advanced search. So do it on the left-hand side. Do expiring auctions.
I know, expiring auctions. Okay.
Right there. Now go over and just do with number of bids more than one. Do more than one bid, and then scroll down and just do on the right-hand side, right behind your head.
Oh.
Yeah. So and then do ending in. Just do the next 3 days.
All right.
And then do search.
All right, run search.
And this is an easy way to see what names have back orders against them, what names have interest. And this is a way just to bubble up any other domains that have existing back orders. And then so you can filter by bids orders, and then you can filter by any names that have one back order. So this is 100, and then hit it again, click the bids, and then it'll filter by one back order. And then you can go through 2 back orders. And like, okay, this may be an opportunity where you can buy something for $20, for $25.
Interesting.
Like a good B+ domain name.
Yeah.
You never know. This is just the existing bid. There may be 3 days left, and a lot of times the bid will go up within the past 5 minutes. But just ideation, just to kind of go through what has opportunities out there, what might be below the fold, someone may not be paying a ton of attention to.
I love this. Oh man.
It's deep. It's
Yeah, this
fun.
this gets
Yeah,
deep.
yeah,
I like
yeah,
this a lot. Awesome.
yeah.
Okay, very cool. Perfect. Okay, that answers all my questions. That's great. I'm probably gonna play this recording back and listen to what you said
Expiring is
before.
wonderful, and obviously you can ping me on Twitter if you have questions. But
Of course, yeah.
expiring is wonderful, and that's where you can really uh, get a foothold because you can get these domains at really below wholesale prices. Anything you're buying on a marketplace or directly from somebody, you're paying this retail times two price.
Yeah,
Although they may be a little bit depressed because of the economy right now, but expiration is where you can really find some inexpensive opportunities.
that's awesome. Okay, very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, perfect. That's I've wanted to ask about this for so long. It's been like a year.
And it's fun, and
It is
it's
fun.
like
Yeah,
I
that's
love
why.
like whenever I go to conferences, I always walk towards the silent auctions, like what's being sold today. I mean, it's every single day, it's this expiring process to see what's going up. And if you read stories, go buy a book. Max, you may love this. So there's a book called The Domain Game. I believe it's Kesmodal. I think he's a Wall Street Journal author. So he wrote just an amazing book on the early days of domain investors. The Domain Game, is it Kesmodal? Yes, that's it. Buy that
Gizmo,
book.
yes.
Buy
Okay.
it and read it. It is wonderful. It's unbelievable. It goes over some of the just the early heavy hitters that are still in the industry, like Gary Chernoff, Adam Strong, Rick Schwartz, all of these just heavy hitters on how they got into it. And one of the biggest names in the industry was a watermelon farmer. He got into this because I think he wanted to buy watermelon.com. And then he was like, what is this world? How do you buy
What did
domain
I?
name?
That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
It's a great book. I highly recommend it.
Okay, very very cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave
Maybe
this
find
up
it
and I'm
on
gonna check
Kindle.
this
Yeah,
out.
find a good, inexpensive copy of it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an easy. I'm not a great book reader, and it's an easy read.
Okay, awesome. I'm excited. I'm gonna check that out. That sounds
Yeah,
fun. Okay,
yeah.
perfect. Yeah, Goodwill. I'm gonna get this one. Okay, that's cool. That's cool as hell. Um, Thank you for that whole description. I'm gonna leave these three up, and I'm gonna probably dive deep into this tonight. This is
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah. They're good. Yeah, they're fun. And read that second article. Read that second article after that first one. I think it's domain name window shopping, something like that. I
Oh yeah,
might
window
have.
shopping for
Yeah,
expired domain names.
that
Yeah.
that kind of repeats a lot of what I just
Okay,
mentioned.
perfect, perfect.
What the difference is between a drop, between exclusive inventory. Where do you go to bid on these domains? There are
Yeah.
some nuances here and there that kind of goes into it, and it has my awful back and forth. I needed somebody to talk to in some of these articles, so I decided to talk to myself. So that's
I
why
do it all the
the
time.
back and forth. I was like, whatever. I don't care.
That's funny. Also, one of my friends, Toast, says watermelons are big biz. They are. It's so funny. Watermelon farmer. He just jumped right into
It's
it. That's
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah. That watermelon is it's a tough industry. Well,
Yeah.
I only know that because my Vidalia farmer, he's tried to grow some in the off season of the Vidalia country. Man, they're a finicky. What are they? A fruit? What is a watermelon considered?
I
A fruit?
I believe it's a fruit. I would imagine.
That's
Melons
a
are
big.
fruits. Yeah.
That's a big fruit, but it's a tough one. Um,
That's so fun. Okay. Awesome. 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 Awesome.
yeah.
I guess my next question. So that's perfect. Um, your methods for finding. So what are because you experiment with a lot of domain names. You rarely buy them, but like on your site, you have a couple more that you haven't developed out, right?
Sure. Sure.
And the ones that really claw you are the ones that you really have like a really passionate idea or something that you really really believe like, okay, this is a very clear to market strategy. Like it makes sense in your head.
Right.
What is your typical method for building out these kinds of networks? Because usually this is like you're the middleman, right? You rely on getting clients from on a business side and then clients on a consumer side or something
Yeah.
of that similarity.
I
What
don't
is
know
your
if there's
method
a
for?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little
Interesting
different for
question.
each
It
one. Yeah.
is. Yeah. There is real no method. So what I've learned, the models, and we sort of touched on this earlier. What the models that I've found that work are the marketplace directory model
Yeah. Yeah.
works in a
Yeah.
really good niche with a big price point or a large enough price point associated with it. Dude Ranch Vacation, typical Dude Ranch Vacation is $10,000. If I
Yeah.
drive a lead to a Dude Ranch, I assume their profit margin is 20 or 30%. So they're going to make $2,000 on a lead that I can drive, one lead that I can
Yeah.
drive them. And if I can charge them What's a good advertising fee for me to charge them per year? 500 or $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can I get 100 or 200 advertisers? There's a $200,000 business right there
Yeah,
just on
yeah.
marketplace.
Okay.
That is so. What I found over the years is marketplace. That is a good high margin
Yeah.
boutique product or service, Vidalia, and then job boards. I have a good friend here in Atlanta, Shane Pike, who used to run a nursing job board, and he sold it a ways back, and he got me exposed to this job board industry. And when I saw how much success he had engineeringjobs.com. I believe he's sold that since then, since now. And so when I had the opportunity to do ranch work, I saw what Shane had done. I was like, let me give this a shot. Let me see if I can get this job board off the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's how I've found, and that's not to say I may try something slightly different, but I was like, that's about as much as I need to do. Marketplace directory, boutique product service, job board. Sounds good to me. It keeps
That's
me
awesome.
busy all day long.
No, yeah. Niche yourself
Boutique
down.
product
Like, keep it
service
simple. I like it.
yeah, boutique product services is seasonal, and then I'm expecting birthday parties to be like my full-time job whenever it gets on its feet, and it may be 2 or 3 years from now before it kind of gets on its feet.
Interesting.
Where I truly drive to cities, talk to birthday party industries, and try to pitch them service and drive them leads, get them signed on as an advertiser, essentially.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. One of my viewers just asked, how liquid is the domain name resale marketplace? It seems pretty like
It's
just
active.
like that.
It's active. You can put them up for sale. Two popular. Let's see. If you physically just want to put a domain up for sale, two popular marketplaces. One's called EFTY.com.
EFTY.
Another one is called DAN, DAN, Domain Automation Network. And you can place domains up for sale. Like I'll show you one of my landing pages if you want to see one of my domains. I bought an IO domain name just to test IO domains.
Mm-hmm.
So I own 82, the number 82.io.
82.
And you'll see what a for sale landing page. So I own it. And so this is what you can do. If you have a domain, you can put it up for sale, just like this. Private seller, buy now. Here's the buy now price. If you want to put it on a monthly plan, if you want to make an offer, and you scroll down, you can see how much traffic it gets per month. It's crazy. IO domains get significant traffic. It's crazy. So this is one way to do it. You just point the DNS to Dan, and then they will place. They'll
do everything else for you. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll put up, and they'll be the escrow service if somebody physically buys it, and then they'll be the escrow to help move the domain from you to the buyer.
And then they take a small percentage. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, they take 9%, I believe.
That's
of the
good
sales.
enough for me. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
This is a whole new world. Yeah, gosh dang, jeez.
So this is one way. If you physically just want to buy and sell, but you can also buy and put them on. I mean, SEDO, SEDO is a domain big marketplace. If you just want to have a big marketplace to put domains on. Afternic and GoDaddy, they have a sales platform. So if somebody goes to GoDaddy and searches for a domain for sale, actually go to GoDaddy.
Yeah, let's do it right now.
I think I have 82 listed for sale through GoDaddy. So say somebody's going to GoDaddy and they say, oh, I need the domain 82.io. Search 82.io. Let's see. It may not work. If it doesn't, I may have another domain to try. And you may see the same sales. Nah, darn it, I don't have that one. Let's see. Let's try landsurvey.com. SURVEY.com. This is one I still may develop, but I have it for sale.
Yeah,
this is stupid price. So if you find them in this, so this is similar to Dan or to FD, but you're actually catching them in the process of searching for that domain.
Yeah.
And you can use GoDaddy as the third party, and GoDaddy will take the prices and they'll help facilitate the physical transaction or the domain sale. Chances are I'll develop Land Survey. I tried to develop it years ago, but this is another way to try to sell domains. So you can list them for sale through your GoDaddy account.
Yeah.
So you can list them for sale here. And if you physically type in landsurvey.com, it'll go to, I believe, my Dan page. Or I think it's the same price. Hopefully I put the same price or ish. Yeah, something like close enough.
That's funny. Okay, cool. No, yeah, this makes total sense. This is fascinating.
So this is where you kind of put it just little for sale pages, and they help with the facilitating the cache and the transfer of the domain, and making making potential buyers a little bit feel a little bit more safe if they're going to invest so much into a domain name.
Yeah, this is wow. This just blows my mind. They show the traffic per. This is so
I
cool.
really like that on
I really
domain.
like that.
FT doesn't, to my knowledge, they don't show that yet. They may in the future. I like that a lot, where it can show someone the power of a domain name. That
Yeah,
you can. Some people are typing that in or finding this some way. So if you own Land Survey, you're either going to drive leads. If you like to drive leads for providing land survey services, this is the amount of traffic that you can expect if you acquire this domain name, and hopefully you can turn that into a customer
a
potentially.
customer. Yeah, that's okay. That's awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Someone just asked again, has the proliferation of domain extensions taken some value out of the market? So basically the question is like, why would I pay $10,000 for watermelon.com when I can just go register like watermelon.fruit or something, or some less like .com-y, right? The argument that I've heard is typically like, for some reason .com, sometimes .net, and maybe .co for some like startups, or .io works for a few startups too. But like beyond like .com, like it's really, really hard to gain that trust. Like it looks fake to people. Is there anything that you kind of have to say on that? Because I've thought the same thing. Like I bought
.com has 30 years of branding on it. It's been burnt into everyone's brain. And I'll tell you, I have had situations where I was trying to educate someone on the .net, and I was telling them a domain, and I would sit over their shoulder and I would tell them, okay, go visit this site, peter.net. They would go into their browser, and they would type peter.com. They would immediately ignore everything that I said past the dot, and they would automatically assume it's a .com.
Interesting.
And whether folks realize that or not, that's what happens in the real world. And I see it over and over and over again. Even if somebody picks a .co or something else, if you're trying to go deep on a project, I always try, at least at some point, consider trying to acquire the .com, because you're gonna have bleed over to the .com. I have a friend here in the Atlanta area that owns Kennesaw.com, and there's a college up in Kennesaw, Georgia, called Kennesaw. And they use the domain Kennesaw.edu. And he has a catch-all for the email address, and he always tells me some funny stories where students are always trying to send emails to their teachers, and they're sending them to .com. They don't send them to .edu.
That's wild.
And so they send him all these emails with sob stories, please,
Doctor, dog ate my homework.
I got an F. Can you give me a D so I can pass this class?
That's wild.
But I see it over and over again, and even from domains that I acquire. When I bought duderanch.com, the main organization operates off of duderanch.org. So from me just receiving type-in traffic, I was automatically receiving just regular traffic from folks typing in duderanch.com looking for Dude Ranch vacations.
Interesting.
So it's just I always go back to that. It has 30 years of branding on it.
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
Just when they look for a website, you can tell them until your face is blue that your domain is a .io or .co or .info or .biz, and I'm not disparaging those domains. It's just when the remaining 80 or 90% of the consumers in America are trying to find a website, they're going to type .com.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay.
And why start off with a headwind? Why not start off with a just tremendous tailwind and keep moving from there?
I like it. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. It's funny because I have had a nightmare of a time trying to find like domain names for some of my personal projects and some of the stuff that I've done. Like for instance, my personal website is, and you're probably gonna hate this, it's entrepreneur.blog.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's how it is. And actually, I have a little thing that's live right here. Entrepreneur.blog. Actually, do you know Webflow? Have you seen Webflow, the website builder? I really like Webflow personally.
Yeah. I've heard wonderful things about it. My problem is I have 15 years experience playing around with WordPress, and so I'm
if you have more experience,
but I've heard wonderful things about it. I may just throw a project up on it in the coming months just so I can learn how to use it. I've heard great things about it.
It's got like a little bit of a learning curve. It took me a little while, but they have such nice documentation online, and once you get the hang of it, like it's it's made for web developers, so it actually does really. So I would recommend it. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
But I hunted for like ever, like enerd.com, like entrepreneur.com, entrepreneur, like all these different little things, and I couldn't find jack shit around this. And I just eventually settled on entrepreneur.blog because I do some blogging on here, and it does kind of make sense. But like it's frustrating.
Let's see who owns entrepreneur.com.
I've done hunting, yeah, entrepreneur.com. So I usually go there.
What does it lead to a for sale page?
It goes to
Okay,
this.
so somebody's trying to sell the domain.
Yeah,
So
trying to
buy
sell
this
it.
domain at the top.
Okay.
Where does it lead?
Network solutions.
Are they taking it to a? Because you can figure out what they're trying to sell it for. Well, that doesn't.
It did not work.
Isn't available. Go to Who Is. Go to. Let's see.
I usually do the GoDaddy Who Is. So I think that's what I did.
Is a good one. Or Domain Tools is another one that's popular. But
I love doing this. I have a really funny story where I essentially I was just starting with little tiny projects. Entrepreneur.co. We'll do .com. I was just starting with tiny little projects, and I was looking up. I had a domain that I really wanted to get. It was called whatevernewsletter.com, right? So this goes. It's Greater Cleveland Partnership. I've emailed them like 100 times. Registered an email right here. I copy paste and I aggressively just bugged them and saw if I could get them, but I haven't gotten them to hit me up. But I'll probably try more at some other point just to get entrepreneur.com.
But honestly, look at the expiration. For all you know, some other variation of that term comes up in expiration. You'd be surprised if you're just paying attention every day to the expiring list. Some amazing opportunities, or maybe a different angle on your education niche may pop up in that market. So just pay attention to it, because you'll be surprised.
I will. Now that I know all these different things, that's the first thing I'm going to search tonight. Yeah. But I always use Who Is. But I had this little thing. It was like whatevernewsletter.com, and it was open. And I kept checking. It's like, okay, it's open. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to make a stupid little newsletter site, and I'm going to advertise it unbelievably broadly to anybody that just wants to have like a stupid newsletter in their inbox. I'm just just very comedic, like a comedy newsletter around just like, world sucks. Here we go. This happened. Great. And like just stuff like that, right? And just brand it some silly little way. And then somebody bought whatevernewsletter.com, and so I literally went through this like rabbit hole of like, because when you go to the Who Is, sometimes it won't have a direct email. Sometimes it'll be blocked behind the wall.
Privacy. Yeah.
But I still was able to get the registrant like street number. And so I went and I searched that registrant street number, found because I had like the name of the individual, but I couldn't find the email of them because they didn't register it. So I found their street address, or it wasn't even their street address. It was like Cleveland, Ohio, something like that, with their like first and last name. And I was like, okay. And I did a bunch of searching online. I like went through a bunch of like really weird websites of that register like names and their locations and all these different little things. And I managed to like find her on. It was like her name was like Amy. On Facebook, just based on like location stuff, and I found her email based on her Facebook page, sent her an email, and I was like, hey, I saw this, you bought this domain, I would actually really like, are you going to be doing anything like that? Like, what's your plan? And she was like, ha, funny that you found me. I was actually it was this whole weird like discussion, and like they're doing it for a kid project, and it was this hilarious process, but like there's a lot more you can do if you can actually find it. So I've had a bunch of really funny stories around domains, so it's really cool to learn more about this. But yeah, it's just a shit show. That's very cool though. So you typically find these things, and you go and you reach out to people in the industry and start asking their advice, or say like, this is what I'm trying to build. Like in terms like for Vidalia onions, you went and you talked to farmers of these. Onions.
So they had that one. They have a Vidalia onion committee, so I was able to reach out, and they were kind enough to talk to me. And I guess it helped that I was from Georgia, and then I have a web background, and I was just trying to get their feedback on, do they think there's any type of market for mail? They were calling it mail order, and they were encouraging me. They thought that yes, there was, and not a lot of farmers were paying attention to it. The farmers preferred a big, 50,000 pound load. Yeah. Selling that versus onesie twosie orders. So they were, from the early part, they were encouraging me to continue or to move forward. I was a little skeptical why they were encouraging me, but I just kept moving forward. I needed to find a good farmer that had a good onion, and if I couldn't have a good onion, this is all dead in the water. Yeah. But yeah,
Interesting.
so I got their feedback. But for Dude Ranch, the only reason I started it, I had a friend in college who worked at a Dude Ranch. I worked in the mountains of North Carolina at a summer camp as a counselor, and she worked at a Dude Ranch. And so I was simply familiar with the entire Dude Ranch vacation industry. And when the domain came up, I searched and just determined how much an average cost of a vacation was, and then just threw rough guesstimates on what the profit margins might be. And then, 70% of my decision was I get to buy this and I get to go visit dude ranches out in Colorado and Montana and
Yeah.
Idaho and Wyoming and expense it all. Yes. Like, sign me up right now. That is exactly the type of business that I enjoy building.
That's
Um,
fun. I like
it
that a
didn't
lot.
need it didn't need much prodding to go after that one. And
Yeah.
now I can stay in the same industry from ranch work, and now I can visit actual cattle ranches or fly fishing ranches or horse farms or really all types of stuff. And then
That's
dude
awesome.
ranches as well. I have lots of dude ranch advertisers there.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Um,
fascinating. And so, in your outreach emails to these individuals, like when you were trying to get a hold of like these different people, like actually here, let me lead you through something that I was really curious about. All right, because I read your article and I immediately wanted to like try something similar. Um, and I was looking at what was it called? I can't remember how it's spelled. It's a little weird.
hey, Weber.
No, Awapui. Awapui. I was looking at doing research on some stuff like this. A friend of mine figured out something about like Awapui plants. Uh, it's apparently really used. I know it's so hard to find. This is the technical name of it. It's like a piece of it's like a ginger plant that only grows in Hawaii. They only really grow it in Hawaii, but it's really really consistently used for
Wow.
things like shampoo and conditioner.
Yeah.
And it's like a really really like natural soap. I say the Hawaiian would they pick it off and they approach it and they just like you crush it in your hands and it works like a natural
Wow.
shampoo, and so they include it in normal shampoos, and it's really really
Great.
niche. I thought it was
Yeah.
really cool. And I was like, oh, okay, this is super niche. I wonder if I could do the same thing that he did with Vidalia onions. And so here, let me find Awapui. Yeah. And then I was looking for it. It wasn't Awapui, it was awapuis.com. That I believe was up, and it should, hopefully, with any luck, yeah, $1 per month. So somebody bought it and they just put it up or something like that because it's
No,
way
no, it's for
cheaper.
sale. I think it's available. It's open registration.
Interesting. Okay.
That
But
one
yeah,
dollar, they're trying different plans up there. The $1 per month, their registration, yeah, they're trying all these different pricing packages.
okay,
Their
yeah, this
domain
might
is
be.
essentially 14 or 15 bucks a month.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because you're getting a unique one. But yeah, but that domain's open. You can just register it right now if
yeah,
you
yeah,
wanted it.
yeah.
That's very difficult. That's challenging to spell unless a lot of people know how to spell it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's only for people in a very specific like that really care about like a specific type of hair care or really like that. I don't know how big the industry is, right? Like I have no
Well,
concept of how the industry is, but
go to Google Trends and see how many people are searching for that phrase. Google Trends.
oh, okay. This is fascinating to me. This is exactly what I wanted to ask you because I want to
What I
like be
do
able
is
to
I
assess.
post this on Twitter from time to time. Like if I find a domain that's pretty good, or just search. Well, do Awapuis and then go into compare and then do the singular version. So compare both of them. Awapui, go to the right where it says compare up at the
Okay,
top.
yeah,
There you
compare.
go. And do the plural.
And
And
boop.
you'll see which one gets the most search traffic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the singular, the plural gets 0. So you don't want to buy the plural.
Gotcha. That's good to know. Yeah.
So that one
Um,
gets some, and then you always what I do in this Google Trends is put it against. So type in Vidalia onions as one to compare because I know what the search volume. If you know what a search volume is, Vidalia, Vidalia, and then space onions,
space onions.
and you'll see the red hot spot is probably Atlanta or Georgia. So look at that, yeah. So you're getting some salt. Awapui's getting. I didn't expect that.
That's cool. Wow.
So
It's
now you can
mostly
see. Look how concentrated the Vidalia searches are for in Georgia and Alabama. Look at Wisconsin. I didn't realize.
Georgia, Alabama. Yeah, that's really funny.
How
Wow.
funny. Well, look at that. That's a solid amount of search volume.
Yeah, yeah. That's a
If you
solid amount.
created, yeah, and it makes sense. Hawaii is the number one spot.
Yeah,
That's
Hawaii's the number one
that
spot because
that
it grows
that
there.
term. But if you can create something that has enough of a profit margin, um, yeah, it could be something to consider.
Yeah.
I'm uneducated on that whole industry.
I also am. But I was trying to like, and then I tried to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole. So maybe let's see, alapui.com is taken, I believe, Oh no, it's $3,300. So yeah, that
Yeah.
causes some of the issue. Um, but then I was trying to find like, okay, maybe I could copy the same kind of model that you did with Vidalia onions, and I was looking into like, okay, Awapui farmers, and I have no concept on any earth of how to
Yeah.
like find people like this.
Well, search
Um,
Awapui like Farmer Association or something like that.
okay,
Search Farmer like Association. See if there's an association that represents all the farmers.
Awapui farm,
There
interesting.
may not be an association. I don't know. Maybe there is an association.
Yeah,
It
okay, interesting.
might be too small to have an
Department of
association.
Education, History of Agriculture, Hawaii.
Or
Yeah,
search Hawaii Awapui Growers Association, maybe something like that. I don't know.
Hawaii, Awapui.
You want to find an association because the goal of the association is to make their farmers more successful.
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
they have a third party coming in saying, "Hey, I want to help try to grow the association," it's in their best interest. At least listen to them.
Yeah, it seems like the Department of Agriculture
Much,
is
yeah.
popping up. Hawaiian tropical fruit growers. So yeah, so the idea is I would go to these people and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Blah blah blah. Blah.
Yeah.
I have this domain name, and when you do this outreach, I would assume you say, hello, my name is Peter. I own vidaliaonions.com, and I want to like you try to sell it up as much as you can, maybe.
I'm trying to. I think I called them up, man. I've had the most success just calling people
Yeah,
up and
yeah.
just talking to
Okay.
them on the phone. And
Interesting.
email, you just don't know who's calling them. You're
Yeah.
reaching out via email. I called them up, and then I physically went to their office. I think I planned a trip and said, "Hey, I'm coming down there. Can I pop in and just say hello, just so you can attach a face to a name and all that?" I have this domain. Uh, and I want to make sure you guys know I'm not one of the bad guys out there, and I'd love to see
Interesting.
if you guys
Yeah.
can help me, and then just go down and just hang out for 15 minutes in their office and say, does this work? Like, is there an opportunity here? And then they
Interesting.
realize, okay, he's an okay guy. He's from
Yeah.
Georgia. He gets
You've
it. Oh my gosh, he has the tech background, and we don't have anybody down here with a tech background,
yeah.
and he has the domain name. And then at that point, they're like, okay, we should listen to this guy. Maybe there's something.
Interesting. You have such a like an in-person or like personable kind of goal with a lot of these kind of communications. It's very much like
Well, it's
just
ignored. It's ignored, I think, a lot. I mean, just like the postcard. I sent out this postcard for Vidalia. Like everybody's like, oh, Facebook ads or Instagram ads. Oh, like,
yeah,
how
that's what
about
everybody thinks.
postcards? How about postcards? To
Interesting.
I sent out like 2,300 postcards and actually did a little bit of work this year. Yet last year I sent it out to all of my previous customers. This year I segmented the list a little bit to only include loyal customers who had not ordered yet. So I filtered out everybody who had ordered and then just sent them to people who had not ordered. So I saved myself a
Interesting.
little bit of money, and I had to teach myself some formulas and stuff within Google Sheets to try and filter and sort.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
then just sent it out to just them. And man, like I mentioned today, I've had more call. I had to take a break because I had so many phone calls coming in for Vidalia. Because my voice was hurting talking, but I love talking to all my customers because it's just so rare that you get that type of, and I enjoy doing it. And they're always so surprised when it's not some robot picking up the phone as a
Yeah,
real human
that's really
that
cool.
actually represents as a partner with the farm. And I can actually educate them a little bit because I've learned a little bit about the Vidalia industry through Aries. And, and they're just so, I'm fortunate. I have a really good customer base and they're always very thankful and appreciative and very supportive on what we've built. So I stumbled into that. I never anticipated that because I wasn't sure what type of industry. Because I enjoy industries that revolve around like memories and happiness. I love those types of aspects that are tied to an industry. Dude Ranching had it in spades. And Vidalia, I wasn't quite sure where it was, but man, I stumbled into it, and there's a very close like the relationship, oddly enough, that these people have with this very boutique onion, and that it's seasonal. They can only get it, and they have to be patient. They have to wait. So there's built-in scarcity for it, and so
Yeah,
you have to wait for it until it
that's so
comes out.
cool.
When it's available, you got to get it
Yeah,
because if you don't get it, we're gonna sell out, and if it sells out, you're out of luck.
that's funny.
Got to wait till next. You got to wait till next April.
That's so cool. Awesome. I love it. Okay, cool. Yeah, one of my mentors, he used to tell me a lot about like ways to get noticed. Like and ways to kind of get people's attention. And a lot of it is like you send a postcard, you send a handwritten letter, or like you do things that people used to do all the time, but now are completely lost given how like rapid and techy the whole world is. It's really really interesting. Like he would send like a handwritten letter with like a little coin or a little trinket inside the envelope, because it's called it's lumpy mail. It's called lumpy mail because if you mail like something and somebody gets a letter and it's like, oh, addressed to them, whatever, like they could throw that out. But if there's something inside that letter, it's like I'm gonna open it up, right? It doesn't matter like how busy I am, I'm still gonna open it up. So little things like that are very very clever little ways to like get people to open letters, and then if it's handwritten, if it shows that you care, like it gets a much better response rate, and it gets.
Well, I'll tell you another way to do that too. It's slightly more expensive. Send a letter like in a FedEx envelope, like and send it to the CEO. Because the secretary or whoever is opening up mail doesn't tend to open up FedEx letters.
Interesting.
CEO, they hand it directly to the CEO and he opens it. And if it's in a FedEx letter, like this has got to be something important.
Yeah.
It opens it up and then it has your personal letter inside. Like, I got directly to him through a FedEx letter.
It's only so like funny.
It's only like $8 or $9.
Yeah, fuck it. That's so worth it. That's so fucking worth it. That's hilarious. I gotta try that. I'm gonna do something like on a stream. Like one of my first streams, I think my first live stream was like trying to get in touch with important people, and it was using like clever little tools and things on the internet to find emails where they're really hard to find, right? And being really creative with that. And it sometimes works. I've gotten in touch with a lot of really impressive people that way just by like guessing emails. Like for instance, on like let's go to Namejet. Yeah, there's a little like thing I have called Hunter up here, where I can drop it down and it just gives me a bunch of different little things. Most of these are going to be support and legal and a bunch of other things like that. But sometimes it'll say
that
like,
Hunter.io.
Hunter.io, yeah.
Okay.
I love Hunter.io.
And I think is there Find That Lead is another one. I have an account there somewhere on finding leads. I'll be using it for birthday parties at some point.
Yeah, for sure. But the nice thing is that for Hunter, and a few others do this, but for Hunter, like if I type in like Peter, like if you worked at GoDaddy, right, and I couldn't find your email anywhere on the site, I would type in like Peter Askew, right, and it would do this, and it says this is our best guess for this person based on the most common pattern of first and last. It guesses what yours might be, and 90% of the time, that's the email that actually works.
Cool. Yeah. Wow, that's neat.
I've gotten in touch with a bunch of really cool CEOs of funny companies that way. But yeah, I'm totally gonna. I like the FedEx thing. I like the FedEx thing a lot. I'm probably gonna send it a bunch of lumpy mail and a bunch of FedEx things and just spend like.
I didn't hear lumpy mail. I like lumpy mail a lot.
Yeah, it's fun. It's cool.
Yeah, because I would open. Me personally, I would open lumpy mail. Like, what is in this? I gotta see what's in this.
I gotta see what's in this. Yeah, exactly. Even if it's just like a little coin or a little like folded up thing, whatever it is. Yeah. Awesome. Very very cool. What other questions? We talked a little bit about it already. I'm gonna definitely do some domain searching tonight, but it seems like domains have kind of this special power because people just automatically trust it. Like the .com, also super important for trust, but you've like people have called you on the phone like it's the Fidelity Man, just because you have this domain name, and that's fascinating to me.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And you can always start on different GTLDs or TLDs for domain names. But I just found if it was easier for me just to start on .com and take that worry off the table.
Yeah, agreed.
And then I can just start and have this tailwind versus start with a headwind on an alternate TLD and try to build it out, which I could be successful, be challenging, but I've just preferred to try to save up cash either from like a 9 to 5, because when I started, I was doing 9 to 5 and then domaining at night. And then I would just save cash and then drop a couple grand on a really good domain and see where it went.
Yeah.
And use that tailwind to build it out to see if there were legs and then really see if I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's fun.
If I didn't enjoy a project, I'd scrap it and move on to a different one. And then that slowly, boiled down to birthday parties, ranch work, and Vidalia.
That's super cool. Awesome. Yeah. I think that's all the like questions that I had to kind of run over.
Cool.
If you have any questions for me or anything else you wanted to talk about, happy to. But other than that, thank you so much for coming on the live stream. This is super, super fun.
No, you're very kind. You're very patient with me on trying to jump on
everybody's
just busy, for the sake of both of our dinners. We'll have to set it up again because I'd love to ping more questions at you. This was too selfishly focused on me.
No, that's what I
We'll have
wanted
to
it to
turn
be.
this around. Well, it is. We can turn this around back on you. We can jump because I'll grab it. I'll grab my dinner here in a
Okay,
second.
cool. Yeah, you got stuff to do. But thank you so much. I would be happy to have you on another live stream, anything like that. We can also hop on another call and anything like that. We are friends now.
Sure. Well, and just ping me on domain stuff. I oddly enjoy exposing this because once you start understanding all the small moving parts, and that's all what they are, there's small moving parts on how this industry operates. And if you just throw in and then it's just a touch of patience on the
Yeah,
expiration market.
yeah,
If you just give yourself a year or two, you'd be amazed what type of really cool domains expire and go up. And
yeah,
then you find a domain that maybe you decide to try to save up a thousand or $2,000 and try your best to acquire it. And then if you have the opportunity to acquire it, then it's just off to the races. You have this really good asset. And most oftentimes, even if the project fails, chances are there's still value in that domain. And you might, if you hold it for another year or two, you might be able to sell it for more than what you bought it for.
yeah. So
There are
it's
other
never a
people in
bad
the industry,
idea.
that's all they do is buy and flip. And I found I just never liked it as much. I wasn't very good at it. I just enjoyed developing it. But there's always a little bit of reassurance where there is still value in the domain. The domain is not worth zero if the project doesn't work. It
Yeah,
still has.
that is nice. I like that. That's a really good point. Yeah, interesting. Okay, yeah, you treat it like an asset. I like it.
Yep, yep,
Very
yep.
cool. Awesomeness.
Cool.
Well, cool. I appreciate you
All
hopping
right,
on.
Max.
Yeah.
Well, thank you then.
I will see you later. I'll definitely ping you plenty on Twitter with a bunch of new questions in the future for sure.
All right, man.
Alrighty.
All right, take care. Bye bye.
Bye. Mm-mm. Awesome. What a great fucking dude. Oh, that was so fun. I'm so happy about that. Thank you for the couple of viewers that have sat through for the rest of this. We're about finished here. I'm just gonna pop up my little thing. I got my little stream end. That was super fun. I've watched that guy and watched what he does, and I've been paying attention to him for like a year now. Ever since I read that article last year while I was in school. I guess it was only a year ago. It felt like so much longer ago. But love his shit. Would highly recommend you check out Deep South Ventures. Check out some of his stuff, like some of the stuff that he's written. Absolutely love it. Sorry we didn't get up on LinkedIn because I think we had a bunch of glitches. Reply, Crowdburst live. Yeah, other people aren't having issues going live. It just looks like me, so maybe it's something on my end. I might try to switch providers and see, because I use Streamlabs, and maybe I'll try to change that around and see if I can get LinkedIn going. But yeah, other than that, I didn't talk about it too much in the beginning. I talked about it a little bit, but Restream.io, they sponsored me recently, and now I get to do more of these, and I'm really, really excited about it. And that's how I'm able to stream to all these different sites here, and it's really cool. But yeah, check out Restream.io if you want to start streaming. You can stream to a bunch of different places all at once, and it makes it super, super easy. I don't think Restream is the issue when it comes to LinkedIn. I think it's the provider that I'm using, Streamlabs, to generate everything. But yeah, no, it's going great. I'm really, really happy with it. So check out Restream.io. Highly recommend them. I'm going to be promoting them from now on because I'm doing a little bit of work with them. Hopefully LinkedIn gets back up so we can actually start the partnership. But yeah, I appreciate everybody hopping on. I'm sorry that LinkedIn didn't work, and I appreciate you hopping on the Twitch stream because that was a little bit funky. But yeah, awesome. I love you all. I will see you later. And let me know if you want to start some stupid fucking domain based business because that would be super fun. I'm going to try to do something with it. But yeah, awesome. Have a great, great night, everybody. Stay safe. Wash your hands.